Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. It's Thursday evening, a little bit later than we normally do the All Access Live show. I want to begin by announcing a couple of cool things. Tomorrow night at 5 o'clock Pacific, if you go to sixstringsalute.com, you're going to see this great event that is a charity organization for Crew Nation that is, I guess it's sponsored to help out roadies, crew members, sound guys, all the road crew people that are currently out of work because of the COVID pandemic. And so this foundation is set up through Live Nation, and the donations all go to that charity, and there are auction items that you can get at that location as well. You can get t-shirts and masks and everything. So go to sixstringsalute.com. Performances by Jennifer Batten, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Steve Hackett, Joel Hoekstra, all sorts of amazing guitarists, biggest guitarists in the world, and they do performances there. So sixstringsalute.com has all of that. Speaking of Jennifer Batten, she actually is doing lessons for this wonderful sponsor of mine, 5 Star Guitars in Beaverton, Oregon. They're based in Oregon, so there's no sales tax. So if you're looking to play guitars or you want to get a great deal on guitars, they've got a killer used selection as well. So if you check them out at www.5starguitars.com, you can see the collection. You can sign up and buy guitars. Here they are right here. Boom. And you can get a guitar, you can get lessons, you can get repairs done. So go to www.5starguitars.com and thank them for the support that they've given me. I'm very gracious and grateful. Now, I also wanted to announce a great partnership that I have coming up with Audix Microphones. Based in Wilsonville, Oregon, Audix is one of the top microphone companies in the world. I'm going to be hosting live events at their location coming up next month. So if you go to audixusa.com, check out their amazing selection of microphones. We'll be doing social media pushes soon, and performances from great artists are going to be there. We'll do something similar to All Access Live, where we have a short Q&A and then live performances from those artists. So thank you, Audix Microphones, for being supportive of me and partnering up with me, and 5 Star Guitars for making that initiation happen. So now business is done. It's time for the fun. I'm bringing in my buddies. My friends from the Portland, Oregon area are not only an amazing group of original musicians, but they also, they're bandmates of mine in other environments as well. And they're escaping the pandemic with a really cool opportunity. They just did Northwest Talent Spotlight here in Portland. So maybe we'll check out a little bit of their performance in a moment. But I want to thank Evan and Ted Berry, Keith Parkhurst, Paul Brown, Michael Killian. Thank you for being here, guys. How are you?
Awesome.
Great.
Woo! I feel like I already talked through enough of a segment that I can just I can leave it to you guys now. So we've got you guys pretty much in the greater Portland area. Paul, you're on the west side. Yep. Mike, I have no idea where you're at. Where are you at, buddy?
I'm in Southeast Portland.
Are you okay? All right. All right. So, yeah. So you and Keith and Ted and Evan, you're all sort of somewhat southeast. And I had mentioned to other folks in the show, Keith, man, I'm forever indebted to you for you and your wife providing a safe haven for my family. Thank you for giving us a place when we were evacuated this last week.
Keith.
Dude, yeah, man. I consider you guys all family, brethren, so I'm excited to have you guys here. Oh no, we just lost the Berries. They dropped off. Hopefully their laptop charged.
That's because they don't like Keith.
Yeah, no, I give a little too much kudos to Keith, and so they drop out. That's horrible.
That's true, yeah.
So let's do this. I'm gonna put this up here for just a moment. I don't want to cover too much of Paul, but if people want to know more about the band as we're talking, they can go to Bad Ellie on Facebook, facebook.com/Bad Ellie Band, and check them out. They actually, you know what? This might be a great. Oh, look at this. They're back, and I got folks in the chat asking if this is Canada already. So Johnny Matusiak, no, this is not Canada. These are my brethren on this side of the border. Great sound guy and wonderful tour manager up in Toronto, trying to chime in on our chat. So I'm going to turn off the link here for a second, but if you guys want to check out Bad Ellie on Facebook, go to facebook.com/Bad Ellie Band. And I'm going to just share a tiny bit of this really quick on your performance from the Northwest Talent Spotlight. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So this was 2 weeks ago. Is that right? You are my better side. Been down this road before. It hasn't changed much more. Do a little Facebook or a little screen share. Sorry, it's There we go.
Yeah.
Boom. All right.
It's looking all the same. So messed up and so vain. We're driving through the night. I can see her in the sun. I can see her lioness. She's happy and alive. Did you know you were my destiny? A test for me, the best of me. You are my better side. Down this road before hasn't changed much more. It'll never change my mind. It's looking out.
Okay, so you have to tell people right now, if they're not musicians, and you have 1 second, let me pause that for a sec. If you're not musicians and you want to find a great way to get hold of that audience and just sucker punch them, you got to do the halftime breakdown right there, right? Halftime breakdown, then launch into the full speed launch into the guitar solo, and that's money right there, right? So the cool thing about that Northwest Talent Spotlight, Bobby Pilata has put together something in the Portland area where he's doing live performances from bands and trying to provide an opportunity where bands can play and get some kind of substantial money coming in from PayPal donations and Venmo. Have you guys done anything else like that in the last couple of months during this thing?
No, we've been just waiting to do anything.
Yeah, that was the first. That was the first breakaway. Then, because you guys were really just starting to break onto the scene. You had a bunch of gigs happening, like Billy Blues, and I think that's where I'd seen you guys the most. But you're kind of like the local original band favorite, popping on the scene, and then all of a sudden we get hit with a pandemic. So, has it given you an opportunity to write any music on your own, or what have you guys been doing to pass your time?
Yeah, I've got probably 25 more songs.
Do you? All right. Now, how do you get them to the band? Do you guys get together and do some social distant rehearsals, or what?
Yeah.
We did for 2 months getting ready to play again, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I'll bet I felt good, man. Paul, you're on the west side, so you've got a little farther way to go. You're rehearsing right behind Keith there, right? You've got this rehearsal space and that gorgeous Premier drum kit. You guys all pack in there with masks and you're trying out some.
Spread everybody out.
Have you been trying out some of Ted's new stuff?
Not much lately. We're gonna wait a little bit.
Okay.
With some of that.
Yeah. Well, when I was playing this for some friends of mine, they said that they really heard a sort of an homage to some Green Day vibe, that early pop punk stuff that was happening in around the turn of this century, right? Yeah. Do you feel like when you're writing your stuff, do you kind of feel like you've got a punk influence, Ted?
Yeah, I mean, Evan kind of got me going on that stuff, like, Bowling for Soup, some of that real poppy kind of American Rejects, and I love it all. I love Weezer. A lot of people don't like Weezer. I love Weezer.
Weezer's a great band. I could see you guys actually touring with Weezer. That's a good pairing.
I love Green Day too. I just love it. I mean, but I like Clutch and Red Fang and that kind of stuff too. So
the meaty stuff. So, people out there on the streams, you should know that Ted there in the lower right corner, Ted and I and Evan played together in AC/DC tribute now and then with Shoot to Thrill, which is a great time. And then Mike Killian, the man with a glorious mohawk down there, he's got a handful of other bands in town too. Maybe we can do a little round robin. You guys can talk about your other projects and where you're from. And so, Mike, maybe start with you. Are you from this area?
Am I what?
Are you from the Portland area?
Oh, yeah, I thought you said, are you from Syria?
Yeah. You seem Syrian, yeah.
That cracks me up, sorry. I was born and raised here. Moved around, a couple other states a little later in life. But yeah, born and raised here, been here most of my life, so.
Okay.
Yep.
So from what I've seen, I've seen pictures from late '80s, early '90s era where you were big in the scene doing some really cool glam rock bands. Is that like your early days, early formative days? So yeah, tell me about where the bug got you and what brought you to Bad Ellie days.
Man, the bug got me. I don't know, Kiss when I was like 7.
Yeah.
That's what, that was the bug.
Did you want to be Ace back then?
Yeah, I was
of course. So yeah, play Kiss in your bedroom with all your friends, jumping around and pretending to play. So that was the bug that got me. I actually though didn't start playing guitar until I was like 16.
Really?
So yeah, I when I was like 7 or 8, about the time I got into Kiss, I started playing music, but I was playing like brass for 10 years or whatever, and then I finally got a guitar and said, okay, I'll do this, which is what I always wanted to do. Those 80s, that late 80s, early 90s stuff was so fun for me.
Yeah.
It was a different time and a cool time, So that was a really big waste of time, but so much fun for me anyway.
Why waste? Why do you think?
Well, just the focuses weren't always on the right thing.
Yeah.
A lot of time for me, not everybody, but a lot of time for me, the focus was on, having a good time or, chasing girls or whatever, so only 50% of the energy was really going into writing good songs and, stuff like that. But, and then, fast forward and, I play in a bunch of tributes, obviously, as you know, and these days, Bad Ellie is my only original band, and I like it just like that.
Sure.
Super fun for me. I really like playing with these guys. Ted writes like everything currently, and I like that because there's no stress and they're fun songs. So, and actually, how I got into the band was, I think it was Paul, told me that, Ted Berry's starting this little pop punk thing, and I'm like, oh, really? Because I had just kind of gotten into that. And so I messaged Ted, and I was like, dude, do you need a guitar player? Can I do this? And he was
really?
Like, come out to a rehearsal. And
you invited yourself in. I love it.
Totally did. Totally did that.
Yeah, I saw Paul at one of the shows, and I saw him post a picture of a bass. And I go, do you play bass, And he said, well, I play guitar, but I play bass too. And so I said, well, do you want to come over? And then that's what happened.
That was it. You just saw a picture of his bass on his Facebook post or something?
Yeah. I just wanted to play with people, and I live so far out, I mean, it's like to have people reliably come and want to play original music. And I'm bringing cassettes, and I'm going, okay, I did this with my electronic drum set and my 4-track, and it's really crude, really bad.
Hey, Old Man River, what's a 4-track?
I was just going to say, but Ted lives in the mountains.
I'm singing on it, but like these guys do a lot too. Like Evan does a lot of editing. He'll okay, let's modulate here, or let's everybody else drop out except Paul right here, that kind of thing. And the other thing he does is we have a song called Fountain, where I'm like, 1 and 1 make 2, except with you, I'm freaking screwed. Yeah, dude, And he's like 1 and 1 and 1 make 3 for eternity. He changes this around.
So he makes a more sophisticated lyric out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I didn't mention this. Evan and Ted not only are related, but Ted is Evan's old man. So literally, he's the old man from the woods. Now,
yeah.
But
Ted and Evan are totally married. It's the coolest thing ever.
having played in a tribute with you guys, I know that Ted would often bring just riffs. He was always like coming with riffs and trying to get Evan to do solo stuff, original stuff. And I remember it was the longest time where you didn't want to do original things for a while, and your dad is twisting your arm, and but then you sang along with some stuff, and it was so natural. It seems completely authentic and sincere, and it was a natural thing for you. And so, was it just a confidence thing? Is that what was keeping you from wanting to do it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really like being out in front, as weird as that is. And then I also like to put original stuff on top of that also makes it very nerve-wracking for me. And then like with Shoot to Thrill, it's really easy just because he's running around like a crazy man and I can hide behind him a lot of the time. But I don't know, I'm more of a shy person, honestly. And so I didn't want to be in a bunch of bands. I just wanted, I had work, I was doing school, everything, and then he kept trying to get me to join, and I just...
Yeah, I bribed him. I said I'd work on his house.
Yeah.
If he just come to a crack.
Actually, where he joined, it was a Memorial Day.
He's
A
out.
Memorial Day,
I
we
guess
turned into Thunder Pig.
that was the ticket. So I came over, and it's a lot of fun. I love these guys. Like Kevin, it's just like I care more about working with people that I like, more than anything. We could play Nobody, and that'd be fine if I'm having fun with my friends. So,
man, it's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to talk to you guys and have you on this program is the hope and the idea behind the show is to have a huge distraction. Because right now there's chaos in the world, man, all the way around. We all dealt with fires last week and whatever else, pandemics and crazy stuff. But when this band is on stage, and a bunch of people in chat, they all already know this about you guys, you're so fun to watch. Every person in the band smiles. And I've been in bands before, hard rock bands, where the manager of the band would say, no, there's no smiling in heavy metal. I'm like, it's hard to sort of curb that stuff. But, I don't know if there's anybody that smiles a little more than my buddy Keith there, man. Keith, have you heard that in the past, playing in like hard rock bands and metal bands about the smile?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to be having fun, but I always break the rules.
Yeah.
So we're not here.
Rebels, for sure. Man,
You, Kevin, of course, are king of smiles. You are always smiling.
Well,
and I never smile in any project, except this one sometimes.
Yeah, every picture I see of you is a smile. Every picture I looked for, from this band, when I look at Bad Ellie and I look at all the pictures of you guys on stage, everybody is smiling. Like even Paul, even quiet Paul. Yeah, no, I know. It's if you guys are watching this and you're not musicians, I gotta tell you, if you've been in relationships and you have the perfect relationship where things are just clicking and you're out on a date and you're vibing and the air is just right and the mood is just right. That is kind of how it is when you're in a band with 4 bandmates, right? Where it just feels so right, especially on stage. I mean, I don't know about for you guys, but Mike, the reason that I smile all the time when you see me on stage is that that's the one place that I don't have to think about anything else. It's just the one place where you can cut loose. And I know Keith and I, we've talked about this a lot of times, that if ever there's a safe place to be, it's behind your drum kit on stage, man. And
I call it between the downbeat and the bow.
Right. Yeah. That's those are probably the most precious moments ever. And you guys really take advantage of that. That little clip that I just showed from Northwest Talent Spotlight, a lot of smiles happening throughout that whole thing. And I think it's a really cool opportunity that you guys got in the midst of all this to do some kind of live performance, right? Yeah. I think Bobby Pilata should be congratulated for trying to do something out there for musicians to do this and play. Are there any other opportunities where you guys might have for smaller sort of intimate shows coming up, or are you kind of waiting this thing out?
It is original music, so nobody shows up anyway. It's probably
That's not true. I know you guys have a fan base, man. I've seen it.
God, I miss playing at the what's the woodsy place?
Oh, Doug Fir.
Doug
Fir.
Yeah. Doug Fir Lounge is a great one, man. Killer sound, good vibe for sure. Paul Brown, man, I know that you were just things were starting to take off with Breaking the Chains tribute with you.
Yep.
But as I think Ted just mentioned, you were a guitarist before, right? So the bass thing was an afterthought for you to start playing live, or like tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, so I grew up in Seattle, and then I moved here in high school, and I started playing piano when I was like 6. And when 5th grade hit and you had to choose an instrument, I picked the snare drum, and my dad didn't like listening to that. so that only lasted a couple of years, and then I moved down here, and I always wanted to play guitar and just didn't have the money to get one, and so I didn't start playing until I was 18. So I got a guitar, learned how to play it when I was 18, and for years and years, I mean, I've always been sort of music adjacent, but I'm a photographer also, and I could go to the show with my camera, and I could enjoy the show the same way. You know, I'm still there, and I can still have the music, you know. So that was cool. And then Ted and I, you know, we'd see each other at shows, and I'd probably for a year or two, he's like, "Hey, we should get together and jam." I'm like, "Yeah, man, let's do it." This
Which
is
people
actually
do.
Just saying it. But this is literally the first band I've ever joined.
Really?
Bad Ellie is. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So
no
I
kidding.
played guitar for like 25 years.
Yeah.
And then, like Ted said, he saw the picture. It's actually that one back there. He saw a picture of the bass, and he goes, "Hey, you play bass?" And you know, we'd been talking about playing guitar for a long time, and he's like, "You play bass, right?" I'm like, sure, why not?
Yeah, it's got two less strings.
Play it
Sure,
like
I
a
can play
guitar, you know.
It's got less strings. I'm sure I can
I'm
do
in
it.
the
Right.
band and I didn't even know that backstory.
Oh,
Right.
God,
So I was like, sure, why not? I got a bass, and he goes, cool, because I just talked to Keith, and Keith is gonna play drums. I'm like, oh shit, we're really doing this?
yeah.
Okay, cool, let's do it. But I decided that I needed to learn how to actually play a bass and not just play it like a guitar. And so I put a bunch of time in trying to figure out how to play the thing. I don't know if I'm any good at it, but I sure do have a great time doing it.
Let me ask you. So how do you do that? How do you transition from guitar and play a real convincing bass line? I mean, do you sit down and watch how bassists are doing, or?
I spent a lot of time practicing and just playing all kinds of different stuff. It's actually kind of interesting because on guitar, I'm like into thrash and metal and all kinds of, you know, I mean, that's totally what I'm into. But when I play bass, I want to play like funk and 80s, and it's completely different. I don't play the same thing on either, right? So it's like picking up, you know, playing piano or playing a guitar. It's different, and different things come out. And so when I started figuring out how to play a bass, and Keith knows too, because when I first started playing, I played like a guitar player, and I wasn't super good at like finding that one and driving and stuff like that. And I've been really putting a lot of effort into trying to figure out how to learn rhythm. So
he watches the foot, Kevin. He watches the bass drum foot. I caught him.
Oh, you did.
That was one of my early things. Whenever I would lose the beat, I would watch the bass drum head so that I could see it hitting.
Okay. Yeah.
So
man, I mean, you've got a great person to watch there too, because Keith lays it down, man.
Right.
Real, just I know that as a drummer, right, I always gravitate towards watching drummers. Keith, you and I have been friends for a long time, man. And every guy in this band, you're all dear friends of mine, but I get stuck watching Keith all the time, and I feel kind of bad. I feel like I'm, kind of cheating on my buddies by just watching Keith the whole show. Lisa Anderson, buddy of all of ours, she just said, "Paul, you're so humble." She's watched you more. She's watched you more with Breaking the Chains, and and our friend Cheryl Bland here also said, "You're such a respected photographer in this area." And you really are, man. I mean, the photo that you took of me with my Spawn drum kit has been like all over the world now. The thing you just sent me is representing Spawn drums in China right now at their big trade show that they got going on, which is awesome. Yeah. You have a real gift for that, about capturing, just personality in your photos. You just mentioned taking a camera.
You guys are easy.
Well, no, but but it's tough for drummers, especially when you watch live bands. I mean, it's really hard for photographers to get a drummer without making him, just look awkward and funky and stuck behind stuff, And
I always made an effort, because drummers don't get pictures.
Yeah.
And so that's actually how I met every single one of you guys, is through I went to shows and I started taking pictures of you. I remember
my first Paul Brown.
I remember that too. I actually came across that set not long ago. I remember exactly what you said to me when the first day we met. So it was really cool. But yeah, I always made a picture. I made a point because drummers don't get good pictures, and so trying to figure out a good way to get a drummer shot. But that one that I did for you, Kevin, that was so much fun. That day was just fun.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
I would
that
just
was
say,
cool.
if I could interject, I mean, usually drummers don't deserve good pictures, but you guys are exceptions.
That's true. Actually, I gotta agree with you sometimes, Mike. But Paul. I was just thinking, if you're taking the camera there now that you're in bands, is it kind of a conflicted feeling when you go out to see a show? Do you kind of want to leave the camera at home so that you can actually enjoy the music without having to think about the shot?
I have done both. It's weird to go to a show without a camera, even when I'm playing.
Really?
So, yeah,
Even when you're playing.
Yeah, well, because afterwards I always stop and want to watch the band, and without a camera, it's like, okay, this is weird. Who just stands and watches?
You could
I
just
do this
wear
with a camera. What's
and
that?
You could just wear a camera.
That's true.
Right.
You put a chest on, have your GoPro.
Aim to the tourist or something like that.
Right. Well, we joked about that early on too. It's like in our first show, I was going to walk up with a camera on stage and go, "What do I do? Who wants me up here?" And somebody would hand me a bass.
Oh,
That's a gimmick.
Like, that every show.
That could totally be your bling from now on, dude. You
just wear it.
Game with a camera on.
Maybe we can get a custom bass where it just looks
There
like
we go.
DSLR.
The reason I said
Right.
changed the name to Tourist was because I was in a band called Tourist with Greg Kirkley.
Oh my goodness! Another one of my old bandmates, my brother Greg. Evan, you talked about being really shy and how that was kind of one of the reasons that you didn't want to front an original band. What's the difference, do you think, in being a front man for, say, a tribute versus playing original? What is the how is it so much easier in a tribute?
I think with the tribute, you're not really. The original band's more yourself. It's more you putting yourself out there and you singing as yourself. Whereas a tribute band, you're kind of playing a role. You're singing. You're doing what you need to be doing. You're trying to hit the notes the way they're on record. But more than anything, you can hide behind the disguise or the guise of being, somebody else. You're in somebody else's shoes for that. That moment, that concert. So being out on an original band, it's more there's nothing to hide behind really.
Sure.
There's no guy dressed up in a schoolboy's outfit running back and forth and everybody screaming at him.
He's the distraction. Yeah.
Exactly. It's more like you got nothing. You can't run and hide behind the drum set while the guy does a 20-minute guitar solo. You got to be out there singing, at least in the way we play. You don't
have to sing long because their songs are like 2 minutes.
That's right. That's what I always say. It's like, if you don't like this song, don't worry, it'll be short.
You burn through the set and you're out the stage. What do you feel more comfortable now? Because the band's a couple years old now, right? So you guys have been around long enough and played enough shows. Do you feel like you've kind of found your vibe on stage?
Yeah, I feel like that. I feel also it's become more. I mean, I don't know. It's tough because a lot of the writing is my dad, so you kind of want to make it the way he wants it. You want it to be right. You don't want to mess it up for him. So that's another added pressure. Just be like, okay, do this right. Don't mess this up. No McDonald's on the way home. No.
Well, how is that? I mean, do you feel like you guys work together better because you're related in your family, or is it tougher because you kind of feel like you're accountable for more as your parent? Ted, I'm talking to you, Macy. Yeah.
No, I like to let him do what he wants to do, and he will change things around. I'm really this is a bad thing that I have, is I hear something in my head, and I want it to be that way.
And he's really mean about it.
And I don't like a lot of change, and I don't like. Like I've even said, I don't want to play this song anymore because it's not what I thought it was. I'm bad that way. Well, these guys do a good job, and Evan does do a lot of things, changing stuff. Like it's more of an edit kind of thing. Like, we should stop here, change the speed here. People should drop out here, And I kind of look back and go, yeah, I see that. I can deal with that. But it's a group effort. But yeah, if I can't, pick up my guitar and try and write one or two songs, at least a month, then I get depressed. It's like, it's like the funnest thing for me musically, really. I mean, I love the shoot to thrill and I love, playing live, but writing music to me is real. When somebody comes up and says, God, your song got stuck in my head all week or something, and I'm like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe I like it, but it's stuck in my head.
I'd like to give Ted a prop though, right here, because they are his songs. But Ted, you always we talk about it, and you never make us feel like we're not part of it. So I think as a group, we really listen to each other.
One place the music that I write, so that's fun, So the whole thing's fun, and every time we have a Bad Ellie show, I don't get stressed out. I don't, just go crazy trying to, oh God, we haven't played this song in 6 months, and blah blah blah. I'm just relaxed. It's easy. It's just real simple, and it's just fun to play. And that's my biggest joy out of it. Is playing original music and having people come up to you and say, God, that was a fun show. I liked it.
Fun show.
Full of
I
hooks.
like that too.
Yeah, the thing that I know. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was just going to say, I got to duck out for a second. I got to get some power to my device.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so everybody start talking about Michael right now.
So, think about Mike.
Look at this. I can hide him now.
And then he became a four-piece.
That's right, man. Like he invited himself into the band anyway, right? So
yeah.
One thing I do know about you, Ted, is you do have a tendency to get a little stressed out with the tribute bands before shows if we haven't played for a while. You get really kind of wound up about it and concerned that we haven't played these songs and are the people going to still show up and do. And I love knowing that you are able to kind of let that stuff go and just let this band breathe. And that's a lot of trust and respect for the other guys. I don't, not that you don't trust or respect the other guys in Shoot to Thrill, but it's different, right? Because they're your babies in this band, and I think when you bring a song, say because your songs are so full of riffs, man, you've got really great hooks. When you bring a song to the band, how do you present that to them? Do you lay everything on a 4-track, or are you just playing guitar and kind of humming songs? Or?
Most of the time, well, in the beginning, it was all I'd play it for him on 4-track. But then it got to be where we could kind of I'd say, okay, listen to me play this through and see what you come up with to do with it, And I was pissed off one time because we have this song called Effer, and it's like
you can swear on the show. It's okay.
Okay. So it's fucker, and it's like a it's a political song.
Okay.
And I was missed a practice, which I rarely ever do, I think. And when I came back, it had kind of a double beat to it, and Evan insisted on that.
Really? Yeah. So they kind of they edited and rewrote the song while you were gone.
And
Evan told me to play surf beat.
I go, what's with the surf beat? What are you guys doing? And Evan goes, yeah, I like it better. And we go, yeah,
he told me
too. So that kind of thing happens a lot. So.
So Keith, let me ask you, because not only are you sort of providing that structural backbeat, so when Ted's bringing something like that to you, and Evan says, hey man, I'd love to hear this kind of vibe, play kind of a surf beat behind, and then you're doing tons of those really high harmonies too, right? So how do you guys work out who's going to sing parts and where it's complementary to the song without sort of being overblown? Does that make sense?
I think a lot of the songs actually are Ted will be playing and we jam them, right? And they kind of, Ted probably, he has his idea of where he wants it to go, but a lot of times it just happens pretty organically. And then we talk about what we did like or didn't like. and go from there.
Yeah.
And when it first started, before we got Evan, and actually it was a Memorial Day weekend at the Thunder Pig, Kevin.
Okay.
So, and we had the berries were over, and that was when we finally convinced Evan to join the band. But before that, when Ted also had talked to me for a couple years, because I worked the stages, and I would see Ted all the time. And man, I just want to play, just nothing, fancy. I just want to play straight ahead, fun rock. Are you in? And I kept saying, yep, for a couple years.
A couple years, really? Okay.
Where's Jeez? I'm pleasant, really old.
You're wearing him down.
Yeah, and so he put that all together. And so, but before we had Evan, and it was probably, I bet it was 3 or 4 months before we finally convinced Evan to come in. Ted sang all the songs, right?
Okay.
Ted sang all the songs, and so I was I always grab that third above harmony. It's just something that it comes out naturally.
Sure.
Ted told me not to do it as much at one point.
Okay.
And sometimes it's me and sometimes it's Ted. And actually our voices on the harmony, it's hard to tell which one it is, me or Ted sometimes, because we got a pretty similar sound there, I think.
That's tough to find, but it's great for that sound. I'm bringing Mike back on air now that he's all plugged in. So. No, that's all good. We hid you, and we only talked about you a little bit. So,
but I would be singing backgrounds on Ted's, and all I could do on a lot of them were, kind of a something. You could figure out some of the words, but when you're the background, you just don't enunciate, and you just support what you hear. And so I would tell Ted, you got to write these down so that I know what I'm singing. And so he said, well, I can write them on paper. I said, you write them on paper. I'll put them in a document so we all have it. We never lose it. And so Ted started. He brought over the first batch of lyrics for me, and I typed them up. And then the next time he was going to bring the lyrics over for a few more songs, he had, 3 or 4 written down. And we were at the point where we were talking about a name for the band. And Ted got over and he said, you'll never believe what happened. I set my stuff at the door, including those lyrics I wrote up, and Ellie peed on them. Bad Ellie.
And that was it. Who said that's got to be it?
We all it just kind of was like, yeah, that's.
Yep.
It was funny.
When I come home tonight, Ellie will growl at me when I first get there. She's still well.
I love the because I think the Ellie playing the chords that was not a first time that happened with the Bad Ellie rehearsals. I know that it was happening all the time to Shoot to Thrill too. Yeah. That's the way she's telling you she loves you, man.
Chewing my guitar cases and my chords.
Peeing on stuff, growling at them.
Peeing on my stuff, yeah.
Yeah, that's a sign of love. That's like, why, you're, well, I was going to talk about your fans. That's how they show their appreciation too, by peeing on the court. So, you know what's cool, man? A lot of the fans of the band are chiming in on Facebook right now. They appreciate not only the great hooks, but that when you go out to a Bad Ellie show, if you showed up in a bad mood and it's gone, right? There you cannot help but sort of pick up on this infectious vibe. And then I think too, people got used to seeing maybe Ted and Evan, and Shoot to Thrill. They got used to seeing Mike Killian with the Appetite for Deception doing the Guns N' Roses tribute. They were used to seeing Paul Brown with a camera in his hand. And Keith working every show, man. Keith, you've done so much behind the scenes of every show. So the community sort of picked up on you guys because they'd seen you peripherally. And I bet it was kind of a neat thing for you to say, hey, by the way, my identity is not that guy behind the scenes, but like Keith, I'm a drummer, man. I'm out there. I need to be behind the drum kit. And Paul, you've been playing guitar for 25 years and, bass over the last few years, the last couple of years. And, I bet it feels pretty good that people recognize that you're more than just a fantastic photographer, but you have an identity as a musician as well.
It was really fun in the beginning when people didn't realize that I actually knew how to play an instrument. And so they'd see me on and like, dude, I didn't even know you could play.
true.
You know,
Everybody started talking about Ted.
yeah.
You were one of them. Yeah, Mike. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I knew, Paul, that you've been playing because you've been playing, that you were studying with Joff Metz, right? And so he had 5-star guitars out there, and he was doing showcase shows as well. So you were doing a bunch of those. But I remember talking to you about playing guitar when you come out and shoot these events. Mm-hmm. But some people are content with just playing guitar on their own at home, and they may not want to do the stage thing. And it's terrifying to some people, right? The first time you hop up on stage. So was that transition? Because you said you'd never been in a band before. Was it tough to get out there? Because you've known all these people in the community, and all of a sudden you have to come out and project yourself with this bravado, right? And was it tough?
Yeah, for sure. So the reason I never joined a band is I'm shy. I'm just like Evan. I'm really shy, and I was always really worried about just failing, you know. And so I, when Ted finally came to me and he said, "Hey, Keith is going to play with us," I was like, "Oh crap, this is really happening." Okay. All right, we'll see what happens, you know. And I mean, I was super nervous about it, and I mean, it's great fun. And just one of those things. It's like after, I think we were at the Doug Fir, and I still remember this is like the biggest mess up I ever did. It was a sold out crowd. I think we were playing with Ramble On that day, or Unchained or something. Anyways, it was a sold out crowd, and we have 2 ballads that are really similar but in different keys. Oh, no. I played the wrong one, and I still remember Evan standing up there, and he just sort of looked back at me like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know."
How no idea. Please totally tell me, not through the whole song.
It took me a while to figure out exactly what the problem was. I was so lost. I was like, "Oh my God," and my brain just wasn't comprehending. I was like, wrong song. Once I figured it out, I think we were most of the way through the first verse before I figured it out, and I just kept hitting notes. I'm like, "Oh my God, what the fuck?"
If I keep stabbing at him, eventually I'm going to get the right notes.
I'll tell you what to do when that happens, because it happens to me all the time. So you look around and you
point at somebody else,
and you go over and mess with your amp, and you start thinking,
right?
Okay,
that is what Ted does. As a matter of fact, I know.
Correct.
Colleen Nesbitt said, "Wait, Paul can play?
Don't be loud and proud banging out those bad notes. Just unplug the guitar and start."
Right.
Oh, see, no, Paul was committed. Paul was committed, man. He was.
Oh man, it was such a mess. It was a wreck, but
it could be really good.
Made it through it.
That it was like, all the way through the first verse, and when I finally figured out where we were at, it's like the song's almost over by then. For us.
The riff's only going to last 2 minutes.
2 minutes of hell.
Yeah, right.
We were going to call it 2-minute drill once.
Yeah. 2-minute drill.
Mike Diamond is he's putting smiley or laughing emojis, crying emojis in the thread. He's another one, right? Mike is another one in the community where a lot of people didn't realize that he could play until he, if you were lucky enough to hang out with him after certain shows or at barbecues or something, or maybe you got to see his ukulele shows on Facebook. But the dude is so multi-talented. Yeah. We've got this incredible community. I mean, that's one of the things for me that's challenging, right? Is that any given night we could go out and we could see a lot of our friends in the community playing original music or tribute music or whatever. See people like Mike Diamond doing stand-up comedy or whatever. Right now we're sort of limited in this, and so streaming becomes really the avenue that we have to sort of embrace. And again, I talked about the Bobby Pilata thing. You guys really have this opportunity, right, where you can, if Ted is writing a lot of this material, are you set up where you could actually lay down tracks at individual homes and maybe record some of this stuff? Like, do you have a recording system at your place, Keith?
No.
All right, so you gotta sort of rehearse it virtually and then finally get in the studio when it opens up. Is that a plan? Do you have any plans to record this stuff on an album?
Well, I can tell myself, I've got this problem where I get my own song stuck in my head and I have to record it, or I'll get mad at myself, to capture that certain thing right then and there. So my phone has just got like 500 2-minute clips on it, right?
Yeah.
And it's very rare that I will actually break out the stupid 4-track electronic drum set and my cheapy little bass and my microphone and do it. But I still do it, you know, but I've got to get like whatever.
Modern.
Garage band or whatever that is, you know. I mean, I've got to do something like that.
There's a reason. There's a reason that that Ted is over at Evan's house right now doing this live stream.
I was so happy when Ted said he was going to Evan.
Yeah, no,
he called me today and he goes, "Hey man, what are you up to?" And I work at a high school, so I'm doing like these online kind of tutoring classes and stuff like that, and getting all that set up. I'm like, "Well, I'm working right now," and he goes, "Yeah, you know that thing we got going on tonight, right?" And I'm like, "Yep, I've known for months now." And he goes, "Yeah, I really don't know how I'm going to do that." And I go, "I figured." Right until today.
Oh my God, I love it. Ted, you're so good to let us just like chide you a little bit, man. You haven't started shaving yet, so yeah.
I'm very old.
I'm thinking about like as things progress. One of the people that was really supportive when you guys came out of the scene, everybody kind of knew Jason Feldman as being somebody that was so involved in the tribute scene, putting together tribute shows. And a lot of our people here in the chat know that they've come out to see a lot of tributes. And Jason also was really trying to get involved in promoting great original music. And I know that when he first saw you guys, he knew several of you guys from the tribute scene or from other shows that he had worked. But I knew that he was excited about it because the songs were there, the presentation was there. You guys do a really good job of interacting. I don't want to call them fans. I mean, I really don't. I think, I've said this about all the community of people that support any band that I'm ever in. I consider them friends. They're family, you know. If we're not for those people, we'd be stuck at home doing what we're doing, chatting with each other right now. And so Jason, though, really, he was a champion for you guys early on. And I know he's trying to do things right now, trying to find ways where he can really make it possible for bands to at least perform and be compensated for their time and extend their reach, you know, and be able to communicate our music with those community members. So I just really didn't want to let it go without saying that I know that he's a huge fan of the band, and if there's any opportunity for whether it be a streaming opportunity or some smaller, sort of socially distant kind of shows, I know he's behind that effort, and so I'm confident locally that something's going to happen because of his efforts. You know,
I could say right now, I would have none of the music opportunities that I have right now.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
With the Brill and with Bad Ellie, I mean, he's such a huge support for everybody in the JFL community. He runs everything. And he makes it happen for people.
Yeah.
And it's I could never do what that man does. I can say.
I know, tons of energy, and you think about how his mind's always going, right? So you think about how things work first with the tribute community, and then how he put together the Mogo Fest, right? He was doing all original music through Mogo Fest and trying to support whatever he could with the bands. And then he got involved with venues because he realized that without venues, there's no way for us to be able to perform. Right. So he's trying to figure out ways where venues can be sustained. And, I think about people like him and people that were so involved with the community. We're blessed. I mean, I say we, like your bands, but the bands I play with, and other people in our community are really blessed with having some people that were so supportive and involved, whether they were financially supportive, they're out buying our products and our shirts and our concert tickets, but even just being there to support bands that are just an upstart, So I wanted to sort of pay homage tomorrow. It would be Todd Brown's birthday, and I think Todd was such a huge fan of you guys, and I really want to sort of raise a glass to Todd Brown being as supportive of Bad Ellie and the entire community, We lost Todd a few months ago, and it would have been his birthday tomorrow. So I want to to raise a glass and say thank you, Todd Brown, Denise, for thinking about you. Now, speaking of the rest of the community, Cheryl Bland, who has been the other sort of behind the scenes MVP in this community, she mentioned to remind people about Bad Ellie merch. And so, I had all my stuff from the evacuation still packed up. So I'm looking for my Bad Ellie shirt I wanted to represent today. But you guys still have some product available that you can people can get a hold of you through like the Facebook page or anything?
Paul Brown would be the man for that.
Okay, he's the guy.
Cheryl actually is the one for that. But yeah, either me or Cheryl, any of us actually. But yeah, Cheryl's got all the inventory still.
If they post something right here on the Bad Ellie Band Facebook page, they can request some of the shirts and then as far as recording goes, you've certainly got a lot more songs than you need for an album. If you could get in after things kind of clear up from COVID, you guys have a good 10, 12 songs that you could put on this record and get out there. And
recording. We did. Where was that place we recorded? Over.
Well,
we've done a few.
We were actually talking pretty hard about doing a record here maybe a year ago. And so we did a couple of test recordings with, of course, Kevin Hahn at Opal Studio.
Okay.
And we did a few there, and then we did a couple with, now I feel horrible.
Rob Dacre.
Oh, yeah, Rob Dacre. Yeah. At Supernatural.
Yeah, so we did one over at Dacre's place, and so we started the process, but,
we need a sugar daddy
lately, so we haven't finished it, but we have obviously plenty of material for a 20-minute record, even though we have like 30 songs. we got plenty of material for a record, and
we started the Spencer.
Oh yeah, we recorded with Joe Spencer too. Yeah,
we did.
Oh yeah, we actually did a few. We did a test with him as well. We were just kind of trying to find somebody we actually wanted to record with.
Sure.
So, recording a few recordings at several places, and yeah, we just have not finished that process.
No.
You guys have enough fans. You know what I could see you doing is putting together sort of like a Kickstarter campaign where you could have all those people, if they wanted to help sort of, you could pre-sell copies of the album and then leak them some of those demo recordings from these test recordings you did. Give them a little sample stuff while they're waiting for the final product. And then, because I know a lot of people are excited to see you, and if they're not able to see you in the clubs or in the venues for a while, they want to get those. Because those hooks, they're earworm songs, man. Those songs won't leave your head.
We do have a few SoundCloud links on our webpage. There's a couple of SoundCloud links.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's two songs on SoundCloud.
When I archive this, I'll make sure that I put links to that. So if you guys can help me get me those, I'll put a link to those. We're gonna have all this up on accesskevin.com in about 15 minutes. So
if we do a remake of Hey Jude, we'll have like a 2-hour album.
There you go.
Evan wrote that.
Yeah, I wrote that back in 1967,
68. Yeah, you were young.
It is a great cover, man. That is a fun one. I love it when you guys do. Has that become kind of like one of the songs that everybody begs for at the end? Because it's just, you do such an interesting version of it, man. It's really cool.
I don't think we're quite at the begging stage yet.
So both of your wives are begging to hear that song at the end of the night. Because they know that's the end of the set. You can go home.
We just decide that we're going to play that at the end of every show. Yeah. And it's worked out really well so far. It's fun.
A great finale, man. And Lynn Forsythe, she chimes in. She says, "Hell yeah!" She loves that one. So we have no idea when this pandemic is going to end. But how about other music? Are any of you guys actually gigging right now? Anybody else? I know Keith, you've been doing a lot of other work. Your solo instrumental stuff for the stroke victims, right? Is that right?
Stroke survivor groups and also skilled nursing. And by March 13th, I was shut down on all of that. we moved our stroke survivor stuff to a Zoom. So I'm actually keeping a pretty good group of our, we call it the backstrokes.
Nice.
And we go around the room and pick song, and then everybody gets muted. And on their end, it's me playing and singing. So I try not to think of that. I have gotten a couple of my skilled nursing gigs, but I had a show for today that got canceled because of the damn smoke.
Oh wow, really?
One of the places I've worked with had finally, this is the second time I've been scheduled, and we were going to do 2 half-hour shows basically, and they were going to change the people. And then, of course, yesterday they said, hey, it's not going to be clear. I can't put my people outside. So
if it's not one thing, it's another, huh?
I know it's been tough for, it's just been one thing after another for all of us, it's tough. But I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep on playing.
Yeah, well, it's great that, I would think that it's probably pretty fulfilling, even if it's not like you being on stage playing drums. But the backstrokes thing is a really cool,
super
sort of,
cool. And to throw out a limb, if anybody wants to, if you know anybody that is have a stroke or a traumatic brain injury, get a hold of the Backstrokes. You can find them on us on Facebook.
Okay.
And really, it's music when you can't talk. Sometimes you can still sing. There's real neurology to it. So, we've actually, because we're in Zoom and not meeting in person, we've got a couple of people that call in every week on our Zoom session from San Jose. And next week I get to present to a Ben stroke survivor group, and I guess they've got a good stroke. So who knows? Maybe we'll make something too, and when we can all go back out, I'll have another thing, right?
Yeah, you'll be touring, man. I love the idea of sort of overcoming adversity, right, by trying to find new avenues. And so, like Mike Killian, you were working your actually, I should not let this go without saying, you have this gift that most people don't realize. You're a true artist, man, in your creative space. The stuff that you've been able to fabricate blows my mind, and a lot of people in the scene have no idea that you do this stuff, right? So, it's the truth, man. I mean, really, I
blushing.
Before we talked, and I've said this before, man, you're sort of the special sauce, the magic part of all these bands that you're part of, because you get maybe not as much recognition as, like, say, the lead singer, but without you in any of those bands, it really would not be nearly as sort of like magnificent. I mean, you really add this element.
Same, at least.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, there's, as far as like vocally, your harmonies are great. You're a great player. You got a killer presence, and a lot of that stuff sort of goes unrecognized. But I was excited that we get a chance to sort of talk about your contribution to these bands, because you really, you kind of fly under the radar, and then outside the music part, you really do have this talent for your the metal fabrication stuff. And you've got this genius mind that somebody says, I just need to create something, whatever it is, man, a spaceship. It seems like Elon Musk should be just knocking on your door right now to try and get. So
that'd be a great gig.
Yeah, would you take that gig?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Has that been just something you've worked on most of your life?
Nope.
No,
it was a fallback for me. I'm a gunsmith, right? I mean, that is like my training, my actual vocation.
Okay.
Is gunsmithing. But in that while I was going to school for that and being trained for that and everything, part of that was we had to take a couple of welding classes, because sometimes that's required,
Yeah.
So we had to take a couple of specific ones. And my instructor there, this guy that was older than dirt, so like almost older than me.
Almost older than
Ted. He's like, hey, dude, you're really good at this. Why don't you take some, do some certifications, So anyway, I did that and got certified and all this stuff. And so I just kind of packed it away, right? I was like, something, whatever. And then I opened a gun shop and ran a gun business for a while, you know, doing gunsmithing, and eventually that went under. And so that was my fallback. I just started, you know, doing fabrication so I could feed my family. And
Darn.
that has now become my vocation.
Man, I mean, well, I think, you know, a lot of times when I talk to folks on this show, you know, they have sort of different avenues that they take that you can tell they were put on this planet to do X, Y, or Z project. You know, when I see you guys playing, you know that like, especially Keith, you and I have shared this, man. There's something that the light inside you that just makes the stage is really where you need to be, right? And it's for me, Mike, when I look at the other projects and your contribution to the community, man, I think you, even without even acknowledging it, you really are so supportive of this community. You know, Cheryl just brought up the drum set chandelier that you put together at Billy Blues. Billy Blues, this great music venue in just outside of Vancouver, Washington. If you guys are watching outside the area, it's a great venue that's so supportive of the bands and so supportive of the community. And they were looking to really expand their sort of aesthetic and really make things better for the patrons and for the bands. And Mike just jumped in there and created this incredible upside down drum set chandelier. And it just showed up one day. I remember you asking, looking around for some throwaway cymbals and maybe some extra gear. And then all of a sudden you see this presentation, and anybody else might have put together something that looked kind of like a cheesy Toys R Us drum kit, but this looks like it belongs in, you know, a Hard Rock Cafe. And I was, uh-oh.
That project was super cool. And, dude, there's like really good quality gear in that thing.
Yeah.
It was jam stuff. There was a Gretsch Catalina was all the shells. There's actually some old Avedis cymbals in it.
Right.
Like old, really quality shit in there. And like hours of like, how the fuck am I going to make this thing hang?
Yeah.
And it, you know, I mean, lots of time in that, but that was like one of the funnest projects I've done in a long time.
It's really cool, man, because honestly, every person walks in, when people walk in, they could see some of your artwork right there. You know, it probably feels, it's like Paul Brown's photos all over the place, you know?
Right.
I mean, it really, man, it's, again, the guys behind the scenes that are actually making this community a lot cooler than, you know, without you. So I am excited that there are some SoundCloud tunes out there. I want to be able to share those. And Cheryl says, Paul, you're the guy for the T-shirts. So if somebody hits that Facebook page and they ping Paul Brown,
so I was right. I was right.
You were right. Yep, that's right.
I'm just gonna have to ask Cheryl anyway, so it's okay.
I'm putting this back up there so that anybody that wants to track the band down, if you're not already friends with them on Facebook, make sure you like this page, and then you can track them down individually because they all have their own wares that they could share. So go to facebook.com/Bad Ellie Band, and I really I can't tell you guys how much it means to me just to see your smiling faces again. I miss you all, every single one of you, and I'm glad that everybody's healthy. You know, you guys are you're breathing well, no smoke in the houses, and you're back in your own homes again. So and again, thanks to Evan for representing right there. Russell Wilson, go Hawks, man. We'd like to see that. Thanks to Winterberry for sharing her household right there. Like,
I'm gonna say, you're asking if we were playing any shows. I've been playing guitar and singing to my daughter, my 1-year-old daughter, and
that.
Yes.
Yeah, man. So
sure every day.
That's, man. If she's around, if she wanted to make a special appearance, I got to tell you, the video the other day, Evan's wife Stephanie shared this video of his daughter Winter just laughing, and it was exactly what I needed, man. It was the beginning of the fires, and everything seemed to be kind of going to shit, and the baby is just sitting there cracking up at the dog, and I thought, yep, that's all we need is laughing winter berries. But I know that it's going to cover my face for a second, but I want to thank 5-Star Guitars again. Not only the wonderful suppliers of lessons for Paul Brown, but they also they've been amazing at supporting this show. So there she is, making her onstage her on camera debut.
Girl.
Hey, Winter.
Hi, Winter.
Don't pay attention to any of those other guys. It's all me on it.
No.
Oh my
She can
God.
be calm now without getting scared. So
She's a little scared.
She's finger looking up.
She is so beautiful, man. Mike Diamond says it's great to see all of you guys too. Larry King says he loves Bad Ellie. You got a lot of fans out there. So all of you guys, listen, hit the Facebook page, like them, and also subscribe to this channel. I really would love to get your support. So if you're not there on Facebook or on the YouTube right now, go to youtube.com/allaccesslive with Kevin Rankin. There are over 115 episodes out there with great, all sorts of cool interviews from MTV VJs to actors and actresses and great musicians like my friends right here. So thank you, Keith and Paul and Ted and Evan and Michael, so much. Bad Ellie guys, thank you guys again. I appreciate you being here. Stay safe, stay healthy. Let us all know when you're playing again. And good night, Winter. Thanks for making your appearance.
Love you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Bye, dude.
Thank you.
I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Winter, my sweetheart.
All right.